we got lots of people who jumped in. I'm just going to go ahead and get started then. Um, we've got some viewers for the live feed, and we've got a few people in here to ask some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and give the demo. If there's anything horribly unclear in the middle of the demo, go ahead and give a shout, and I can. Hey, it's number 2, and I can go ahead and stop and kind of give some instructions if it's just crazy unclear. Otherwise, we can do questions kind of at the end and explain how all that's working. So again, everyone, thanks for joining. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we should be ready to go. Ooh, into the tunnel. All right. Everyone can still hear me, right? As everyone got really quiet. Yes? I got thumbs up.
Yes.
Thank you. Someone say
muted.
something. Yeah, okay, which I appreciate. All right. So what we're going to talk today is a gem called Font Custom, fontcustom.com. It's been around a while. I was using it several months ago, and it was neat, but it didn't quite have a lot of the bells and whistles it has now, especially with regards to Sass and kind of working it into a Sass workflow. Previous job that I did it on, you basically had to render everything and then do a bunch of copy and pasting and tweaking and changing to get things ready to work in a Sass system. So some of the changes I've done recently make it just awesome for this, and I'm going to demonstrate how all those work. So the idea of Font Custom is that it is a command line font generation tool. So you can think of it just like Sass, where you have a folder of partials of CSS that get compiled together over command line and spit out to a CSS file. What this is doing is it's taking a folder full of SVG files, combining those into an actual font, and with all the different font variations and all that crap, and then also creating all of your classes to extend or to apply so that you can actually use those fonts. So if you update it or change it, all those things will automatically update for you, and it makes a beautiful workflow. So I'm going to demonstrate how that works. So this came up actually just a couple days ago, yesterday even. We're working on the Lullabot website, and what we needed icons here by this bot data, and you can see I've already put some of them in. So we didn't have any icons in there. In the past, we've been using sprite sheets, so like all these little sprites, little bird, and there's sprites all over the place. Problem was we had like 3 different color variations. So every time we made a sprite, you had to make a regular sprite, a retina sprite, and do that in 3 variations in different folders with some underscore hover, and it was just a bit of a mess. I did some of that the other day and realized how much I'd like to move over to icon fonts. So that's what we did. Create an icon font, and then we're able to insert those in, and they show up. They look beautiful. You can see. Hopefully, I can zoom in. You can see, since it's an icon, or sorry, since it's a font, you can do everything you can do with a font. You can color it. You can give it drop shadows. You can give it sizes and all that kind of fun stuff. So really flexible and really easy to use. So I'm going to walk through the code, and you can see how all of it works. So one of the great changes in Font Custom over previous versions, I think they just hit 1.0, one of the big things they brought in was an actual config file. And this is something that was missing before, in that there's a lot of choices, where stuff goes, where stuff's pulled from, the names of stuff, different flags to turn on and off. And what this config file does is allows you to set all that so that you don't have to redo it every time. It's kind of like your config RB for Sass or for Compass. If you had to every single time tell it where those directories are and tell it where the Sass files had to go, it's annoying. It's no good. So what this does, it gives us some options of where we want the fonts to go. So I'm going to put it actually in my fonts folder and inside the Lullabot icons, or Lullabot icons, however you want to call it. And I'm also actually able to pull in my own template. It's got some pre-built templates for CSS, Bootstrap, IE7 compatible things, SCSS, as well as a preview. So it'll actually spit out like an HTML page that has all the icons in there to be able to be previewed. So that's pretty cool. You can also choose the font name. you can choose whether it has a little like hash busting or sorry, cache busting hash that's just like a little number string at the end of the file to make sure that if you push a new one up, it's a new file name, so it pulls in make sure it busts the cache and pulls a new one in. Right now, it's not a big deal. I think it just kind of clutters things up, and that's why I turned it off. And then also your font face path. It creates not only the classes but also the font face, and you'll see it here in a second. The actual font face CSS command. So so I'm able to say, this is the path from the root of our site needing to get to it. And in Drupal, it can be a pretty long path. There's also some debug stuff you can turn on and off. And this file lives with the icons. You can have multiple sets of icons if you want, and each one has its own config file. Example, here's my images, here's my icon fonts, all the SVGs, and there's the config file. All right, so the next thing is this template, which for me right now, I'm just putting in that same folder right there, and let's take a look at it. It looks kind of like Sass, but with a bunch of Ruby thrown in. Well, it's Ruby gem. So what it's doing is kind of just iterating through a bunch of stuff and then printing them back out. And what you get in the end looks very similar. Font face, and then here's kind of like your base font definition. Here's what all the fonts are going to look like. And then here's the individual ones depending on which icon you use. So again, what we can look at here is here's our font face declaration. If we need to, for some reason, change up how that looks or how it gets printed, we can add that code into there. If we want to, change font weights or transforms or line heights or something like that, if this web font aliasing is screwing up for you, you can take those kind of things out, as well as the last item where it's printing out these guys. If you need something else in there, is all this. The template's completely customizable. I didn't do a lot to it. And one thing you actually might do is this is all using just actual, just basic classes. In some scenarios, you might just want to use all silent classes. So instead of a dot, you might actually want to, let's see if I can figure out where it would be. You might want to use the, let's see. Oh, here's the dot. To the percentage sign, so you can have a silent class instead. In this case, I want to keep it as an actual class, so you could actually still use them in line if for some reason they wanted to do that. Not my preference, but some people might.
So this isn't giving us necessarily a magic mix-in to go use, but it's really easy for us to go write our own Sass mix-in.
And that's the next thing. Exactly. So yeah, that's exactly what this says. And I mean, you could have this print out even more complicated Sass mix-ins and import that in if you really want to or really need to. So I mean, that's certainly doable. But this works perfect for what we're doing because here is our very simple mix-in. Oh, there we go. So we've got an icon font mix-in here, which does two things. It extends icon dash whatever font name you pass in. So if you pass in Ethernet, it's going to extend the icon Ethernet. And in this case, it's actually kind of funny because extend will extend any instance of icon Ethernet. And as you can tell, it's here, and it's also up here. So it's actually, that one line is going to extend both of these chunks of code. This whole thing, and then this one down here. So we can actually see an example of that. So in our style, speaking of Ethernet, so here I've got a class of Ethernet cables, and I'm actually going to attach it to this top line, which is the data value. And all I have to do is say include icon font Ethernet. I could change this to, let's see if I have set compass running. I could change this to Drupal icon if I wanted to, and wait for this to run. And let's see if I can get a live demo. Oh, let's try and start MAMP. How about that? Right before I started this, I realized I had my dedicated graphics processor turned off, and everything slow without that. So of course, right at 12 o'clock, I decided to log out and turn it back on. All right. So let's see if my Ethernet one changed to Drupal. Live demos are just ready for fail. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yay!
So we've got Drupal and Drupal. Yay, live demo worked! So that's what it takes to apply an icon font to whatever element you want and to change it. Okay. And you can see the word Ethernet corresponds to the name of the icon, the SVG, Ethernet. So drop your SVG in, run your font custom commands, and then all you have to say is icon font Ethernet, and boom, it works. So I'm going to show that right now because actually I'm going to jump to one more thing, then I'll show how that whole process works. The other cool thing is that since these are fonts, as I said, you can treat them as fonts. So we can color fonts. So I can say, instead of all pink, Drupal refresh. And go pink. So, when the designer comes back and says, the color is just a little off, can we change it? Like, dude, I gotta export 10 different icon variations for that one color. You suck. So instead of that, we can just actually use color commands. Same thing with font sizes. And since they're vector, you can blow this thing up to any size you want, and it's going to be crystal clear. If you need a bigger size, you don't have to go to Photoshop and do it. You don't have to worry about making this huge size and having a large file size image and then shrinking it down. So all that stuff is great. Margin right, text shadows, and all that kind of stuff. So you can give it a little bit of a well, I can't see there because it's pink, but you can give it a little bit of a some texture around it and everything. The other thing you can do before I move on, just to give a quick plug, Chris is actually going to be talking about this a bit at PDX Sass a week from today, our meetup on August 8th, about the content variable and how much it rocks. So what I'm going to be doing is I can pass in individual changes for these icons. So say for some reason the Drupal icon, I can do is I can actually pass content into this icon font include, and what that does is it automatically takes a selector before and adds that in. So I can really easily add in some additional, whether it's colors, whether it's different drop shadows, whether it's a different size for one specific icon, and I can do that really easily. So let's see if that shows up. Yep. So we've got a blue Drupal icon. That easy. And really easy to manage too. You're not having to do another, apply this, because I got elements and there's all that kind of stuff. It just takes that, pass whatever you want in to the mixin, and it'll automatically get pulled in. So that kind of. All right. So last thing is, as you can tell, our poor beards. We have a lot of bearded employees at Levelbot, and we like to make sure everyone knows how many bearded employees we have. And it doesn't have an icon. And because the designer never gave me an icon, well, he gave me one, but we're just saying, for example, we don't have a beard icon in there. So let's go ahead and add a beard icon. I happen to have one on my desktop. So I'm it. Here's my beard SVG. Take a look. It's lovely. Interesting to note is notice that the SVG is actually colored. I believe that all the color gets stripped out of that when it goes into the font. So I'm going to drop the beard SVG into my icon font folder. So there's two things we're going to have to do. One, we're going to have to compile a new font, and then we're going to have to just run Sass again when we get the new line in here. It's possible with like a grunt setup or something like that to have grunts running a process to watch that font folder and watch your Sass folder, so you don't have to actually do any of this manually. We haven't quite got there yet. It'd be nice to do. And the times we change fonts or the icons is not that big that often. So I will do font, and then I can either compile or watch. And I'll give the path to on font, like so, and you'll see some fun stuff. It's going to automatically remove all the old stuff, and it's going to compile a new font, and it's going to remove the old Sass file, add a new Sass file, and it'd be good to go. So now, if I uncomment this guy, now we, oops. Our employees with beards, we're going to use that beard icon, because again, that's all we did. We just had beard. And yes, I will purchase that at some point. It's on like
busted
internet. I know. I'm seriously waiting for 3 to come out. It's like, come on, 3, just go stable.
I'm using 3.
I know. All right. So now that we have beard in there, we just compile a new font. We use beard in our mixin, and if everything is good, rock and roll. We now have a beard icon using all the same styles,
awesome.
using all the same sizes, and all that kind of good stuff.
That's amazing.
And can I ask one question? This is
you can ask actually as many as you want, because that's pretty much the end of the demo.
Excellent. I don't want to step on any final demo magic that you have. Is it cool if I ask a question?
Oh yeah, no. As I said, that's the full demo. So
okay,
you have.
There is exactly one thing keeping this technique and this whole line of technology from becoming basically compass sprite icons for fonts. There's one thing, and it's the only part of your entire process that is not automated. Can you pull up your template again for me, real quick, and some of the generated CSS?
So here and here, is that what you mean?
Right. Now, what's really super interesting here, I'm looking at, let's go look at icon beard before. We have a content and then a UTF-8 symbol.
Exactly.
Okay, now those you typed in by hand, right?
No, hold on. This actually, I did skip over this. I totally skipped over this.
And this is going to make it or break it for me.
Yeah, no, this is what makes it. And when using an extend system versus just manually putting it in, this beard used to be, well, it used to not be here. So Drupal used to be F100, and Ethernet used to be F101. I can go back and take that out and show you. It automatically compiles those numbers every single time you do it.
Thank you.
Yes. So the icon gets updated. All of these classes get updated with the proper just connection between the two, and it just works flawlessly. You never have to worry about those numbers.
Exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. So you're never actually worrying about these silly ASCII code character things. All you're doing is extending classes, and those classes are automatically generated by Font Custom. And
I have a question.
Perfect.
Another question here. So what's the reasoning for it being added to the beginning as opposed to the end of it? Because I can see an edge case where we actually have to put in that content instead of using the class. Is there?
It's mostly trying to keep that organized. If you have hundreds of these, there's no way you want to be manually setting what the numbers are. You might be changing icons, doing duplicates of icons, doing different variations of icons. It doesn't make sense to try and do these manually. The use case for content, if you come up with one, I'd be really curious, because I'm sure we could find a solution around it.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's something I was wondering, and like obviously we're not Ruby developers here, so this is
Oh, yeah.
just going to match. But I was thinking like maybe in the file name convention, you could have an indicator of like symbol, right? And then you would actually be able to put the symbol itself into the name of the SVG, and then Ruby, of course, would recognize that being, a variable and would be able to parse it out and then include it as the content UTF-8 symbol, or like maybe do a conversion.
I guess one of the reasons they do this is they keep it off of the normal space.
Yeah.
So it's like all the custom
Right,
user
this will
space.
collide.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to change it, I mean, you can see right here the number is like, I think it's all being generated right here. Yeah, that content number. So you could totally hack that up and do it completely different if you wanted to.
Got it. Next question for you. Let's go back to that last SCSS file. Okay. So you've got this big pile of selectors all conglomerating around your base style, the font family.
Yep. I could totally change this to
attribute icon dash star.
Yes. Let's see.
Like an attribute selector, right?
Oh.
And then so if it includes the word, if you have a class that includes the word dot icon dash something before. And I actually don't know which one is faster according to CSS parsing, but
so it does say anything when you use that with the asterisks.
It would use
really slow.
What's that?
No, but it's very slow.
Oh, the attribute selector.
It throws a big warning, and it says this is slow.
Yeah.
Attribute selectors.
Here's the other thing though. You can't extend that. That's not something you can extend. Like if you extend icon dash star, that's not going to catch that as a selector. If you're going to be doing it all class-based, like if you're going to be doing icon beard as a class inside of your HTML, then yeah, sure, that totally works.
Right. But if I want to extend beard to something else,
yes,
I need it here as a big conglomeration with everything else.
Exactly. The other option, which you could do if you don't want to be using the actual classes and code, is to do like just like a silent, and then in here you would also be extending
that thing. Got it. Add extend my font.
Yeah.
Aha. Okay.
But I didn't do it that way just so that someone's like,
Sanity.
I just want to be able to put it into, or hey, whatever.
Also, as a heads up, really quick, G+ Hangouts mute you when you touch the keyboard. So just in case you're wondering, like, why some of us are like, what was that? It seems like a dumb feature.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense if you're not talking at the same time. But I wish that was something you could turn on and off. So yeah, any other questions? I mean, we've been going for about a half hour, so I don't want to keep everyone too long. But installation is pretty simple. At fontcustom.com. It's just a single gem. Wherever you are. Where did I installation? Hey, look at that. Gem install font custom. This TTFAU to hint is for like font hinting. That allows it to do like better I think hinting like between characters and stuff like that. So it's not essential for how this works. I'm pretty sure you can work without it. But if you're doing icons, you're doing lots of icons like in rows and like whatnot, it might be handy. So I'd certainly say install it if you can. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure it works fine just with the font custom gem itself.
Yeah, awesome.
You will need Ruby 1.9 or greater though. So enjoy going down that deep dive. If you're on a Mac and you haven't started using RVM, get to it. It takes some time.
All right, man.
So cool.
Hey, thank you. This was awesome.
Thanks, Micah.
Hey, thanks, guys. And apparently I got a bunch of comments down the sidebar that I completely missed. So sorry if I didn't see those.
No problem, dude. Hey,
all right.
Appreciate it. I'm going to bounce.
We'll talk to you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.